July 10th, 2025, Board of Public Works and Safety meeting is now in session. Approval of the minutes from July 3rd, 2025.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from July 3rd as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda are claims for payment in the amount of $389,171.50.
Move to approve claims for payment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims for payment as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda are payroll claims for payment in the amount of $1,074,581.50.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the payroll claims for payment as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next on the agenda are bid openings. So this is going to be a fun time with all the bids up here. First is the demolition of structures. Confirmation of publication by the Law Department in connection with 1021 Butler Street, 1024 Sheridan Street, 2002 Glen Court, 1714 Northeast Street, and 1226 Butler Street.
We can actually also combine that with the second set, if you want to read the second set. I forgot to mention that to you earlier,
Okay.
because I do have two proofs of publication for all of those properties.
The other confirmation would be for 1505 North J Street, 218 North 20th Street, and 221 Northwest E Street.
Thank you. And then after you do the bid opening, I'll do the confirmation, but after you do the bid opening, I'll ask you to open the floor for public hearing.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we do have two proofs of publication. These proofs of publication state the time, date, and place, and the address is just read for the bid solicitation in connection with unsafe building law. I would ask the board to make a motion to accept both proofs of publication.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the proofs of publication as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Are we ready to open bids now?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. As I said, some of these are specific to one, some of them are kind of mixed together, so it might take us a little bit to work through them. All right. The first one is from Wicker Excavating. That's not- Okay, so for Lot 1, which includes 1021 Butler Street through 1226 Butler Street, the amount is $66,000 from Wicker Excavating in Liberty, Indiana. From Liberty, Indiana. That's one. Address? Oh, you want the amounts per address? Okay. No problem. All right. So 1012 Butler Street is $13,050. 1024 Sheridan Street is $12,100. 1226 Butler Street is $14,650. 2002 Glen Court is $14,000. And 1714 Northeast Street is $12,200, once again for a total of $66,000. The next one is from R&R Electric from Cambridge City, Indiana. All right, for 1021 Butler Street, we have $15,395.63. For 1024 Sheridan Street, we have $23,199.25. For 1226 Butler Street, we have $21,045. From 1714 Northeast Street, we have $19,982.81. And for 2002 Glen Court, we have $14,687.34 for a grand total of $94,310.03. This is Cox Excavating from Richmond, Indiana, I believe. Yes. All right. All right. For 1021 Butler Street, we have $13,000. For 1024 Sheridan Street, we have $21,575. For 1226 Butler Street, we have $10,400. For 1714 Northeast Street, we have $13,500. For 2002 Glen Court, we have $15,400. There's not a grand total on that one. They also have 218 North 20th Street, which is a no bid. We have 1505 North J, which is $5,700. And 221 Northwest E Street, $11,400. All these envelopes, we may have to take an intermission. Take a break. The next one is from Mikesell Excavating Incorporated, New Paris, Ohio. All right. 1021 Butler Street is $16,400. 1024 Sheridan Street is $21,800. 1226 Butler Street is $20,700. 1714 Northeast Street is $14,200. 2002 Glen Court is $15,900. 218 North 20th Street is $17,800. 221 Northeast Street is $17,800. And 505 North J Street is $8,400 for a grand total of $133,000. Let's see. I don't know if you got that paper over there. Let's see. Next is B&B Construction of Richmond, Indiana. 1021 Butler Street is a total project of $13,099. 1024 Sheridan Street is $23,690. 1226 Butler Street is $9,000. 1714 North E is $15,000. 2002 Glen Court is $16,500. Total here, going back there. No. Okay. No grand total on that one. Jarrett Trucking is next. They have individual packets. .221 Northwest E Street is $14,380. .1505 North J Street $5,500. 2 218 North 20th Street. $17,370. 1226 Butler Street. $14,000. 1714 North East Street. $15,736. 1024 Sheridan Street. $18,595. 2002 Glen Court. $12,132. And 1021 Butler Street. $15,080. Next, we have Coley Contracting. We have 1021 Butler Street as $21,820. 1024 Sheridan Street as $34,590. 1226 Butler Street as $21,190. 1714 Northeast Street as $22,090. And 2002 Glen Court as $28,920 for a total of $128,610. In here, okay. That's that file. Next, we have AJ Schroyer Group, LLC out of Muncie, Indiana. Okay. Double checking. All right. We have 1021 Butler Street as $9,615. 1024 Sheridan Street as $12,675. 1266 Butler Street as $13,625. 1714 Northeast Street as $9,825. And 2002 Glen Court as $9,860 for a grand total of $55,600. Next one is from Green Demo, and they're from LaPorte, Indiana. All right. 2002 Glen Court is $28,800. 1024 Sheridan is $30,000. 1021 Butler is $20,000. 1226 Butler is 24,800. 1714 North E is 24,600 for a grand total of 128,200. Next is Wicker Excavating, second part of their bid. All right. 218 North 20th Street is 11,200. 221 Northwest East Street is 14,500. And 1505 North J Street is 7,500 for a grand total of 33,200. R&R Electric, this is their second part of their bid. They're from Cambridge. You guys remember that? .218 North 20th Street is $31,255.88. 221 Northwest East Street is $41,750. 1505 North J Street is $9,037.31 for a grand total of $81,993.69. Second part of the bid from B&B Construction. All right, 218 North 20th Street is $26,500. 221 Northwest East Street is $9,500. 1505 North J Street is $6,500. Grand total on that one. Jay Schroyer Group from Muncie is next for the second part. .218 North 20th Street is $25,215. 221 Northwest East Street is $10,720. And 1505 North J Street is $4,490 for a grand total of $40,425. And last but not least, Coley Contracting again. They're from Winchester. .218 North 20th Street will be $24,940. 221 Northwest E is $26,620. And 1505 North J is $13,320 for a grand total of $64,880. Bids will be submitted for review and tabulation,
We'll open the floor for public hearing.
but I need to make a motion for a public hearing.
Can you just open the floor
Yeah.
for public hearing? And
Any comments from the public at this time?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Once again, that'll be submitted for review and tabulation to the Rifle Department. Next on the agenda is miscellaneous. Tentative discussion by the Board of Firefighter Grievance Number 1-2025. I'll leave it to the board. Do we have any conversations or anything to discuss prior to setting the next date for our answer?
I do have a question, if I could, sir.
Yeah.
I have a question on your fire department policy number 1008. That's the tuition reimbursement policy. The last time when you were here, I'm sorry, I'd not seen the back page. That was on the back page of that policy at that time. But under procedure on there, it did have approval of the fire chief or the authorized designee should be attained in advance of enrollment for schooling. I know you were the one that asked him to go ahead and sign up. Do you feel you were authorized to tell him to go ahead and sign up at that time?
Excuse me, my name is Jeremy Blake, Lieutenant Engine 5. I'm the first vice president of our local 1408. I wasn't the one that advised him to sign up. I can only speak to the process that was in place that you guys had mentioned prior to. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, there's nothing in writing when it pertains to the paramedicine program. To my knowledge, the process has been the EMS chief approaches an individual and informs them of the class based on their interest and seniority. And firefighter Stolfus was approached as a probationary member, at-will employee, as the EMS chief informed him of the class. And obviously there was a time constraint with the grants. So he followed the same procedure, unwritten procedure, to my knowledge, that every other paramedicine or paramedic has followed. But as far as the reimbursement, to my knowledge, no one has done that. There was a firefighter deputy chief, Doug Gardner, that had obtained it and then went back and requested a reimbursement for some, I think, travel time. And I don't know the outcome of that situation, but I don't think it was pertaining to the actual class cost.
I was looking back on my notes. That was Albert Dennis, who was the deputy chief of EMS, who told him about the class and everything. And then Union President Morris then advised him to go ahead and sign up for the class as soon as possible. The one question I have, I asked the chief at the time, back when you were here, if the battalion chiefs and lieutenants were authorized to tell someone to do this. And he said no at that time. I guess I was a little surprised that officers within the rank would not be authorized to tell somebody underneath you to go ahead and sign up for the class.
So a little bit of history from my point of view. When this ALS transformation, I guess you should say, in our department took place, obviously there was a urgency to get paramedics, sufficient paramedics to make this program successful. During that time frame, I'm going to estimate 10, 12 years ago, there was a difficult time finding classes that were state approved. So that, in my opinion, has caused some of this confusion because you had to be able to find a class and then get approved for that class. And there was, a time frame between classes to get that accomplished. It may be one class this year, the next one might not roll around for 2 or 3 years. So as things progressed, I think there's more classes that's been approved. So I feel like as a department, possibly we need to look at that again and establish a policy because now, Reed has this program. And I think it was a collaboration between the chief's office and Reed to get that going, to have more control over when these firefighters were able to take classes. So the Reed EMS, the online version, it's become more prevalent. We've used it for a handful of years now. But again, we're at their mercy whenever they want to put on a class. So I think the chief's intent to get Reed on board was to have more readily available classes. So having said that, it wasn't the lieutenants are officers, obviously, but we don't have access to those classes. The EMS chief, I can't say we don't have access, but we don't, that's not kind of under our umbrella for a department-wide issue or situation, I guess you should say. So the EMS chief is more in control over that situation because he gets emails and from the state on available classes as far as EMS is concerned. So he's able to decipher that information. And again, like they said before, that is based on seniority and if the individual is ready for the class. So that's been our quote-unquote process, is when you're approached by the EMS chief for information, that he's encouraging you to take that class.
Right.
Now, there seems to be, based on the last meeting, just from observing, there may have been a communication issue with the fire chief and the EMS chief. But I just don't think that's fair to hold it on a probationary at-will employee to decipher that. Lieutenant Morris was a lieutenant, he's still a lieutenant at Station 1. So when a firefighter is probation, they don't have a bid spot until their first year. So by the nature of our chain of commands, those probationary members kind of are under his. There's 2 lieutenants at Station 1. They're under their umbrella. So when Mr. Stolfus, I'm guessing he approached Lieutenant Morris with the information that he received from the EMS chief. Lieutenant Morris advised him, you better get in there.
Right.
So, but I'd be willing to let Mr. Stolfus speak on that.
That's pretty much what you had down here on, when I went back and reread all that, yeah. That was a clarification. I do think as we move forward on this, between the union and your contract, and there certainly needs to be some clarification, I think, in here. I guess I was a little surprised that the officers under the chief would not have the ability to tell one of your officers, you need to sign up for one of these courses. That the way I'm reading this, he feels it's only his responsibility to approve you for the course. That's kind of as I'm reading this, and I think that's a communications problem, and I think can easily be solved in the future, because we certainly don't want something like this to have to happen again.
I personally would like to see, and I'll speak as Jeremy Blake as a firefighter, a lieutenant at Richmond Fire Department. I think it would be beneficial, in my opinion, to add in these contracts with chief's approval. I think that would maybe clear up some of this, because my rhetorical question would be, if these classes, if the chief's office doesn't approach Mr. Stolfus in 5 years, and he comes to the Board of Works, what's the outcome?
Right.
So,
I think that's logical, right? That's a logical approach. The one thing that I find interesting, and I really haven't dug into it yet, but what are you required to achieve? You're required to achieve a certification, right?
yes, and I don't want to misspeak on that. I'll let Mr. Stolfus speak. I didn't come in as a
Yeah.
required paramedic. My novice answer is you have to be state certified, state approved class, and obtain a national registry. So then that's a nationwide certification.
So the one thing I heard when we listened to him very closely was one is a certification and one is a degree. Yeah.
So
No.
Sinclair, the other one that was in place, the administration changed, that class was canceled. That was the degree class.
So
Those
Reed
were
is-
associate degree, 2-year degree at St. Clair is what they were.
But
which
Reed is not a degree.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, good clarification.
It just qualifies you for the 4 qualities of EMS.
Yep.
So they pass these classes with the final, and then they take, that qualifies them to take a state exam. And then that qualifies them to take the national registry. I think as far as qualification goes, I think the Reed and the School of EMS are identical.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do
Thank you
think,
for that.
President Loman, that on the St. Clair, if you did go through that, in that 2-year program, and you passed out of that, you could qualify to become a paramedic, which is a little higher up than an EMT, if I recall. I'm trying to remember, it's been a few weeks now since I've read all this, but there is, you do go into more discussion here about if it's a other class from certified college and its associated degree and how you get reimbursed on that. That is in here in the grades, but that's done afterwards, yeah.
Right. And when you have an associate's degree, also, guys would be more in tune to get that because then that becomes a degree that you get compensated for based on our collective bargaining unit
Right.
as well.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying all that.
Yep.
I don't have any other questions.
I'm good.
So it is on the agenda that the final answer would be on July 24th, but because of the individual feedback that I got from the three of you, the final answer will instead be scheduled for next week on July 17th.
Okay.
So I will make sure I coordinate that with the clerk's office to get that on the agenda.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. We are adjourned. Thank you.